Jason King for the Sikkim 365 Hardwood podcast on the Field of 68 Network with Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman. And we're joined by Obim Okeke. He's a favorite guest of ours on Sikkim 365. We've had him break down some videos and backed by popular demand, I should say. Obim's a GA with Baylor right now. And so, Obim, I just want to start off by asking you what the experience has been like as a GA. I mean, all these COVID disruptions, contact tracing, not being able to get near the guys, and just having to constantly be worried about keeping your distance. I mean, what has that been like as a GA this year?
To be honest, the worst part is wearing a mask, and like the players not wearing a mask because like I was a player last year, so like
Right.
I don't want to wear a mask.
Right.
And I mean, it's just weird because like those are like all my best friends from the team last year, and like I have to like be a coach now, you know. But it's cool. Like I get to break down film more. Like I get to like look at deeper analysis of like what happens behind the scenes. So I think it's honestly a good experience so far. Even with all the cancellation of games and stuff like that. I mean, we're just working around it. Everybody's working through it, you know. It could be worse. It could could be worse. It could cancel the whole season like they did last year, but right. It's been good so far. I mean, we got to play some good games. We played at Illinois. We played Washington. We got to go to Vegas and all that. So my hometown. So it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, Ben, that Stephen F. Austin game the other night. I mean, people are gonna see that score and not maybe think much of Stephen F. Austin, but man, that's a good team.
That's a good team, yeah.
Baylor, I mean, I think they'd won 31 of their last 34 games, something like that. Maybe
they're
20.
good. They're definitely a good team.
Yeah, I mean, what?
They beat Duke last year. Obviously, they have a good culture there, you know. And Stephen F. Austin's been a big. Everybody knows about them at this point. Like they won in the tournament. They won a couple games in the tournament. They're not like a low program. They're a really good program. They win a lot of games, like every year. So.
Well, they beat Duke and Cameron Indoor last year.
Exactly.
I mean, how encouraged were you? I mean, I know you've probably been encouraged after every game this year because Baylor's 4-0, but to see you guys do that to a quality opponent, man, that had to have some
good. It just felt good to play a game, you know. I mean, they wanted to play us, so obviously we had to prove the reason why we're the second best team in the country. So we should be the first, but we'll get into that another time. We'll prove it another time, but yeah, it was just fun to like for them to actually have a game to play, you know. That's the hardest thing. Like you've been practicing for like 12 weeks, not being able to go home, COVID test every week, you know. So being able to play somebody else is always a better experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been an unorthodox year and it's going to continue to be. And you don't get any more unorthodox than playing a Big 12 opponent in the fifth game of the year.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think Texas, Texas, at least right now, in my opinion, is the second best team in the Big 12. Now, you know, Kansas may have something to say about that once they
West Virginia.
West Virginia. I mean, teams are going to get better, you know, but right now at this moment, I might rank Texas number 2. You know, you've been a part of Baylor's program a long time, played on the team 3 years. You've been involved in a lot of scouting for, you know, as a player and now as an assistant for Tech. What is it? What's it like playing a Shaka Smart team? What kind of stands out about preparing?
I mean, it's a rivalry game. Like, if any game's a rivalry game, I felt at Baylor, it's definitely Texas basketball. Like even more than any football games I played. Like this, like last year, like we won both games, but like those are 2 tough games. Like it wasn't like a walk in the park.
Physical,
The year before we were down 19, came back. You know, like every game has been tough. When I was there when Mo Bamba was on the team, and we beat them twice. We went to overtime with them. Like those are every game's physical. You know. So the thing about Texas, we know they're going to be athletic and physical. So we just got to out-tough them too. We got to rebound, box out. Like we can't just jump with these guys. We got to box them out for sure. So
I wanted to ask you about that. You know, obviously this is 2 teams that know each other well, and you just mentioned the rivalry game.
Yeah.
And last year, you know, Baylor scored in the 50s, Texas scored in the 40s. Ken Palm has it as a 72-66 Baylor prediction. But I have a hard time thinking that, you know, the points are going to be that high. I mean, do you think it's like a first team to 60 wins or what's your thought?
See, the difference with our team this year is that we like in years past, there's no way it was going over 60. But our team this year, you know, we play 4 guards that can really score. We have 5 guards that can really score, but I mean, LJ's not playing as much, you know, so that's why I will hold back on him. But I think he's really good, obviously. But we have 4 guards who can really score, and we could play defense. But I mean, like it depends on how we play. Like we could also play a game where it's high possessions. Like Illinois, like at first it wasn't really a lot of high possessions, and then at the end of the game, it got blown open, and then we were able to score 70. I think it's gonna be a game like Illinois, though. If anything, like it's gonna be like a hard fought game. It's gonna be close. Hopefully, we blow it open. You know.
Yeah.
And so if it's in the 70s, I'm not gonna be surprised. Honestly, I mean, when they play Villanova, what was it in the 60s or something like that? In the low 60s,
like eight. Well, the Texas game, yeah, I think it was in the 60s. The final score, yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean, 60s, maybe like low 70s. I don't think anything over like 74 maybe could be, unless we just found the whole game, and that's one thing. But I don't see anything over like 74. So, KenPom isn't really wrong too many times. So I'm gonna go with KenPom.
Right. I can see you guys scoring some points. I don't know if I see them scoring a ton. Your defense. Is just so good, and I don't want to overreact on how good Texas is. It's early in the season, but they've got some nice wins. When you watch them, this particular team, why do you think things are going well for them? Is it the experience and the
Matt Coleman? To be honest, I just think he's playing really well. They got good wings. Brock Cunningham's playing well. He's a glue guy. Like he just does the right thing. It's like kind of Mark battle for us. That's gonna be a good battle. Seeing Brock Cunningham versus that's Matt Meyer's favorite boy too, because they went to high school together. So
is that right?
Fun matchup, yeah. But I don't know. Like they're good. I didn't think they're a solid team. I don't know if this is the best team they've had since I've been here, but I think they're a really athletic team. I think that last year, I think they're good this year because coming off last year, they ended the season so well, you know, and now they just added Greg Brown. So like that's just obviously your team's. If you're bringing everybody back, your team's gonna be good. It's just like how we're bringing everybody back basically this year, except for Freddie.
What's your take on Greg Brown? I mean, he got a lot of hype. They always seem to have a freshman.
He's athletic, yeah.
It's big time, and I've been impressed with him.
He's
crazy numbers, but I mean, he's certainly in.
He's raw. I'll tell you that he's raw. Very athletic. I mean, his first big test is gonna. I mean, he's playing against North Carolina, who has some good bigs. But we just gotta keep him off the glass. I think him, Kai Jones, Jericho Sims, like those, all very athletic, all lengthy.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep them all off the glass. They're all athletic, though. Greg Brown, I mean, he'll find it eventually. Like, I mean, when you have 2 ball dominant guards like Coleman and Ramey, it's hard to like really get your numbers up, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the Stephen F. Austin game. Obviously, there were some incredible things. We can point to 24 for 27 from the free throw line, which is really encouraging. We could also look at the fact that we forced 35 turnovers. I think that's a record.
That has to be. They were turning that thing over crazy.
Well, and we took 7 charges. So the 7 charges plus.
I think Davion took like half of them himself, too.
Yeah, Davion had 3. And I was texting with Coach Tang, and he said that there was another one that Jonathan, he took 1, but then he also got mowed over on an offensive pick, screen. Yeah. So he says we kind of count that as a charge as well. But it's not an official charge, even though it doesn't count as a turnover, I guess you could say. But rebounding and us turning the ball over 20 times, I mean, those are 2 things I'm sure that Coach Drew's been harping on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously against a team like Texas, you can't have 20 turnovers and you can't lose the rebounding.
You got to rebound against Texas. Like I've been saying the whole time, you got to box out these dudes. Like these dudes will put you on Sports Center, as the coaches would like to say. Like, right. So we got to box them out. We just can't give them free points. Like we want to win the rebounding, but that's one of our 3 keys. We want to win all offensive. We want to win the offensive and defensive rebounding battle. So we just got to do what we do.
I was talking to a player last year, and you touched on this earlier with the rivalry. But they said what you just said. Like Scott Drew, even more so than when Baylor plays Kansas. I mean, that's a big game, obviously, but he gets so fired up for this game.
Yeah.
Stories or just like what's it like in a scouting meeting or a pregame speech or day before speech with Scott Drew during
he's going to be amped up because it's the first Big 12 game. So and we know that they don't like us and we don't like them. It's not like it's like bitter, but like we just don't like them. There was a video 2 years when Makai was here, and it was like Shaka Smart just going in on us, like F those dudes, they're soft, they're
Yeah.
whatever. And we got that video like playing like in our locker room, and we remembered that, like all that stuff. Like just know that we know Shaka doesn't like us, so we're not gonna back down from him. So
there's always like a secret lock. Somehow they had recorded him giving his team a speech.
It was on a Longhorn Network. It was during a timeout, and it was getting lost. And they were just like, they're soft. They're soft. They're gonna like, let's knock them out. Let's knock them on our butt. And if they get up, knock them again. Like it was, it was. We remember that. So
sure. Good stuff.
So is there a little bit of a concern as far as obviously Drew's dominated Shaka Smart. I mean, the stats are what they are. I mean, he's won 9 of the last 10. Is there a concern of complacency? Like, we beat Texas. This is what we do. I mean, is that do you think we have a veteran group that just doesn't drink the poison as far as that's concerned?
I think if anything, last year you saw us kind of drink the poison. Like when we went through that 23 game win streak, we weren't really beating teams the way we should have beaten teams,
Right.
Like
sometimes
like Oklahoma, like at home, the first game we were ranked number 1. Like we should have lost that game. They missed a 3-pointer to win the game.
Right.
I think last year they saw how the season ended. I think everybody's hungrier this year. Like they're all trying to, not like they know they have to play together. Like they know how far if they go far, we can all get our goals. They can all go to the league. Like that's what drives them. They're all close.
Right.
So.
Yeah. What I liked about those Texas wins last year, where you're right. I mean, Baylor certainly didn't play that well on the offensive end, but I kind of like the physical, low scoring games sometimes and finding a way to gut out a win, on a night when the shots might not be falling and things like that. One thing people have commented on, kind of shifting directions here, is just the energy Baylor has shown, like, the bench players and things like that, especially in that Illinois game. Just kind of describe that culture that's there right now and that upbeat vibe. I mean, that's kind of impressing everyone across the country.
I just 1 through 15 feel like they're all respected. They can all talk. I mean, I was a walk-on last year, and I felt like I was a captain. It's not like I feel like I could talk to anybody. Like everybody respects everybody on the team. Everybody brings each other energy. Like there's not like, I mean, obviously some people want to play more, but like they're not gonna like put that on other players. Like the players are close, like very close. Like when I say it's a player-led team, probably it's honestly 50-50. Like there's a good relationship between the players and the coaches. When my first year there wasn't really a good coach-player relationship. And you saw us end up losing in NIT pretty early. But, I mean, that team was really talented too. But just that when you go, like, I just feel like we're, like, close-knit,
Yep. When I talked to, I think it was Freddie Gillespie last year.
Yeah.
You mentioned being a captain as a senior, even though you weren't getting a ton of minutes. I don't think that was a courtesy, like, he's a senior, let's make him a captain. I mean, Freddie Gillespie last year told me that you were the most important player on the roster. He did. He said that because
that's what everybody says too.
Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. So I'm not breaking news here, but he just said that, in practices and the huddle and the locker room, you're the guy that just kept everyone motivated and upbeat and the energy. Are you still doing that?
I mean, not as much, but I mean, as a G, I try to, like I just talk smack, but like I'm not playing against them as much. Like when I was on scout team, like I just saw it like, all right, like I'm gonna go hard. Like if I can give them, like I feel like I was better. Like if we're playing Texas, I feel like I'm better than Matt Coleman. I'm gonna show you I'm better than Matt Coleman. So if I give you a good look, like I'm Matt Coleman, then you're gonna be like, all right, this is nothing in the game,
Yeah.
And so I would talk smack. I would get. Like Adam and John didn't talk too much, and I like if they didn't want to talk, I'm not gonna make somebody talk that doesn't want to talk. Like I just want to make them feel comfortable, Like my thing was just getting everybody to feel comfortable, like in their own. Like, I mean, Jackson when he first got on the team, he didn't feel like he could talk, but like just because you're a walker doesn't mean you can't make an impact. That's just a label on your name. Like you can still do things, you can still go hard, you can still try to act like you're a good player. And there's been a ton of walk-ons that played, so I just felt like if I do whatever I can to make the team better, and it's okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned one key for victory was rebounding. I wanted to ask you your 3 keys. What would be a couple other things that we need to do well?
So we have 3 keys every game. 39% defensive field goal. So basically we want to hold them under 40%, like total field goal percentage. Right. Offensive rebound, win the rebounding battle, offensive and defensive, and then 11 or less turnovers every game. So
yeah,
and like I think it's if we gotten 3 keys, I think we lost 1 time since Coach Drew's been there.
Yeah.
right.
Like, that's the stat. If we get 1 key, we win 60% of games. If we get 2, it's like 75%. But if you get all 3, you lose. I think we lost 1 time since Coach Drew's been there.
Yeah. Do you remember that loss? I mean, do you know what
I
game?
don't. They just brought the stats up, and
They brought the stat up, right?
Yeah, and
I don't remember either. When was it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was okay. I think it was Oklahoma State actually. My junior redshirt year. We had all 3 keys and lost the game off senior night.
Yeah.
So,
hey, does Matt? You mentioned Matt Meyer earlier. Does he get fired up for this one being an Austin native?
Matt is a whole different. His personality is all over the place. Like, I don't know if he's excited or not. Like, he just like usually just the same. Honestly, he doesn't really care about like playing Texas. Like, I mean, he's just cool with Brock, but like he's never been like, oh, we're playing this team. Like, he's not one of those guys. Like, he's just kind of even keel. He wants Brock to do well though. Like, if he sees on my face, he's like, "Come on, Brock! Like, let's go off, Brock!" Like,
oh, he does.
That's his best friend. So like, yeah, he's like literally last year he was like, "Why don't they play Brock?" And then they started winning when he started playing, and they were like, "Bro, I told y'all." Like, he's not like he just does stuff that makes them win. Like, so yeah.
Ashley and I were talking off air about Matt a little bit, and he just looks different. I mean, he's filled out, hadn't he? He's physically stronger, and he's not like this little skinny guy anymore. You know, even though he kind of looks, he's strong now.
He gained like 10 pounds this summer or something like that. I mean, it could have been fat, but I mean, he. but
no, his arms look a little more.
He's definitely bigger. Yeah, he's definitely big. He's definitely bigger. He's playing smarter, and he's playing well right now. You know, I think he just sometimes gets in his own head. He lets the coach get to his own head sometimes, and I mean, he's just figuring it out. You know, I think by the time next year we're gonna like, hopefully whatever happens. Like, and he's like probably the star player his senior year. I think you guys will see like a whole new progression of Matt, because Matt is really he's probably the best. This might sound bad to everybody else, but he's probably the best offensive player on our team. He's just a 6'9" guard. Like, he can do anything he wants. Like. He can really pass, and when he wants to pass, he can really pass. He can shoot it. He can beat anybody off the dribble. He's athletic. His bounce is the craziest I've ever seen. Like, him and Devontae Devontae, Mark, when Mark was in high school, especially, had the most bounce I've seen on any of the team. But Matt's bounce is crazy.
Yeah.
So I knew when we did those Kings Court interviews, I think most of the people said you're the funniest guy on the team. Do you have any like who's taking that mantle now that you're no longer on the team?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not really in the locker room as much anymore, you know, like 'cause I'm in the office, but I don't know. You can't really top the best. Like, if they say I'm the best, you really can't. Like, it's hard to, you know what I'm saying, replace me. But I don't know. I got to think about that.
Yeah.
That's not like, I'm just not in the locker room as much, you know, so like I can't really just give you a answer like straight off the top of my head.
Like, what are guys? I would think Mark Vidal, just because.
Yeah, Mark is goofy. Mark is definitely goofy.
I just remember being on the Italy trip, and he was trolling his teammates a couple opportunities, and I just was like, man, he's got a pretty funny sense of humor.
Yeah.
What are guys doing? Like, you know, when you're not practicing, when you're not playing games, is there a nightly domino game? I mean, like, what are guys doing when they're kind of supposed to?
Uno, 2K.
2K, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. Everybody just goes home, you know. Uno and 2K.
Now, do you play Uno with the actual cards, or do you play it on the computer?
No, with the actual cards. You gotta get that in-person experience for sure.
Right.
Can the team hang out with each other? Do you have to hang out in small groups? What are the?
At first, that's how it was, but now, like, we're getting tested every
day almost.
Every Monday, like every week, and like the day before a game, I think so. So like that's.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your goals and aspirations now. I mean, you're kind of getting the taste of what it's like to be a coach now. I mean, is that where you want to go with this? What do you see yourself in 4 or 5 years?
Well, I just graduated. I just got my master's. So I want to be a GM. That's like my main goal. Like, I want to be like an NBA GM or NFL GM. Like, I know the sports really well. But I'm just working like right now. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy a basketball experience, you know, just trying to get more information Just going with the flow, basically. Hopefully, an NBA job opens up, but like,
yeah, you learn all different aspects of the
exactly.
So let me ask you about the Baylor culture. You mentioned the 2000, I think it was the 18 team that had Manu and Maston and Joe and Nooney was the other senior. So those guys, I know, it was a little disappointing this season. They had some big wins that year.
Yeah.
But, it was pretty obvious from a culture standpoint, it just wasn't where it needed to be from an unselfishness, sharing the basketball. There was some bad body language at times. Like, have you seen just a complete shift, like starting in that next season, that it's just more of a servant, I think Drew and some of the other coaches have used a servant leadership, word a lot. Is that really the type of culture that Baylor's trying to build?
If you remember, that team had 6 seniors, it was like,
right.
Or 5 seniors. Oh,
right.
I think it's 5. But so, they were all just trying to get there, go to the league, and they were all talented, but we started the Big 12 season 2-7, like,
right.
Like, obviously a good team, like, can't start that bad. But the next year, I think we only had 1 senior, Makai.
Yep.
King was a senior too. So Makai, King,
right.
Jake couldn't play that year. King obviously has a good culture. Like, he's a good character person. Makai's a good character person. But I think the coaches started recruiting players that had good they started recruiting players that had good character. They weren't just looking at good players, like, just forget good players. I think they were like, all right, like, it's easier to win games when people like each other,
Right.
And then you can see that now, like, at first, that first year, like, when Makai and them, like, Makai was hurt a lot, and we just didn't. Jared had just joined the team late, like, we just didn't know each other. We didn't have good chemistry. And then later that year, we almost were the number 1 team in the Big 12, even with, like, a banged up roster.
Right.
Yeah. I think everybody realized. And then we had Davion and Mason on scout team, so everybody was like, all right, like, if we're good without them, like, wait till we get them playing with us. And so, everything is just, I think like, just like having, like, everybody together, everybody, like, close knit. I think that brought it, like, I think that made us, like, where we are today. Like, everybody, like, literally, there's egos, but, like, I don't think everybody can talk to everybody,
Mm-hmm. From what you've seen in your short time as a GA, when you're recruiting and you're trying to find guys with good character, how do you do that?
It's harder now with COVID, but, like, I can usually talk to somebody and figure out if they have good character. Like, you got to be able to talk to people. Like, we have people who are good communicators too. So I don't know. Like, we have, like, the coaches could talk to people and, like, they just know, like,
right.
This guy is a good person. So,
Was that a big deal though, when guys before COVID, when they would come on their visits and they would play with you all and they would spend time with the team? I know I would imagine Drew and some of these coaches really valued your input. Does he get along with the guys? That's probably an important, part of the recruiting process.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it's funny. So Jared told me that the guys weren't nice to him when he came on his visit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, because that was the year that Manu and all them were here.
Right.
So but I think, like, us being nice to a player makes them want to actually come here more.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just like, all right, whatever, this is a recruit or whatever, like, act like it's not a big deal, they're less likely to. They're less likely to want to come here, So I think getting good character guys it's a two-way street. Like, you can't have guys on your team who don't care about recruiting, like getting new guys. Like, if I talking to a recruit and I'm like, all right, whatever, like, bro, I'll just leave you at the hotel all day, like, then obviously he's not going to feel like he's welcomed here. So.
Well, Jason, you interviewed all these guys in our current signing class for 21. Who was the one player they said reached out to him right away each time?
Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
They said, like, the minute they committed or whatever it was, they got a text from him and saying, can't wait to have you here. Even, who knows if he'll be here by the time they get here. But still, the fact that, he did that says so much to me about his character and leadership and just wanting to be a leader. Yeah. So And I think there's a lot of guys like that. I mean, that was the, as much as I worried about Baylor losing Freddie just from a X's and O's and production standpoint, I just thought seemed to me from an outsider that he was so valuable, to building that culture and creating that vibe in the locker room. So it's good to see that it's still just as strong. So, well, Obim, I think we're about finished, but we sure appreciate the time, man. And
appreciate you guys.
Everyone's excited about Sunday, and not only that, but just the whole Big 12 season that's at hand. Fingers crossed for a Baylor Gonzaga matchup sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we'll get it. So anyway, Ashley, you good? You want to sign us off here?
Yeah, and I'll just say you can't go 36-0 until you go 5-0. Beat Texas, right?
Right.
For sure.
All right. Thank you, Obim. You've been listening to a podcast on Sikkim 365 through the Field of 68 Network. Sikkim Bears.